All right. Happy Friday, everyone. How is everyone doing? If you're joining us live, thank you for being here. It's a wonderful day. I'm joined today with Shawn. How are you doing, Shawn?
I am doing outstanding, George. Pleasure to be here.
So excited. Shawn is with PlexTrac and I am with SCYTHE. We're doing a little joint webinar today. And if you've ever attended these, we try and make these a lot of fun and off script and, just have a good time because it is a Friday. It's almost the weekend and we have some pretty cool stuff to share with you, both from the SCYTHE side as well as from PlexTrac. And we're going to talk about our favorite topic, which of course is purple teaming. And today I was feeling a little red, got the hashtag red team shirt on. We do have these lovely unicorn shirts available on our swag store. If you love the unicorns, we can give you some swag. So we actually have we'll be giving away both PlexTrac and SCYTHE swag. So pay attention to the live stream chat here on YouTube and interact with us. Unfortunately, I cannot see if you're writing me, but we will see if there's any questions. Of course, Shawn, let me know because I think you can see what they're writing, which is fantastic. So again, welcome. I'm Jorge Orchilles, and today we are talking about collaborating and validating attack, detect, and response. A little bit about myself. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at SCYTHE. We believe in collaborating and giving back to the community. So we've done a lot of things like the Purple Team Exercise Framework, which I'll talk about in a bit, the C2 Matrix, SANS. I teach for SANS and done things like CVSS version 3.1, 3.0, pen test frameworks, etc. And that's what I look like. But of course, you can see me on the screen. And with me today, like I said, we have Shawn. I'm so excited, Shawn, that you're here with me. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Hey, thanks, George. Hey, I'm the VP of Success at PlexTrac. Basically, my team handles everything involving you and your experience with PlexTrac. Background information security. I would say that I have a unique distinction. I may be the person on the planet Earth who has seen the most examples of information security reports, pen test reports, GRC reports. If there's one claim to fame they can chisel on my tombstone is that's the thing that I know, and happy to share that expertise with anybody at any time that I see it. Background in the Department of Defense. I was a cyber warfare officer and led up a cyber protection team. And long before there was this term purple teaming, we had this concept of participatory threat emulation, or PTE, which is honestly the precursor of purple teaming. So it's been awesome to watch the concept grow out of the DoD space into the civilian sector. I'm retired now, so I get to play in that civilian sector. Happy to be here. Also, just side random thing, I am a cultivator of fine cayenne pepper strains. So if you run into me at summer camp or any of the other cons, I've always got a couple dime bags with me. Happy to hand you off some seeds for cayenne peppers. And yes, those are just cayenne peppers. Nothing else interesting there to offer you seeds for. Back over to you, George.
That's awesome. I actually didn't know that about you. Shows you how off script we're going here. But that's super cool. Would love to try those out. And interesting, you did mention something about DoD and really military and U.S. military in particular, right? We use a lot of those terms, right, from the threat intelligence side, but also red teaming, right? Red teaming. We look at the history. Some people go back as far as the devil's advocate in the Catholic Church. Others go back to after the Vietnam War, or the U.S. military started red teaming themselves. So we definitely take a lot of terms from the military and that space. So love that you're here with us, Shawn, and about engagement management and reporting, right? Because we want to talk about attack, detect, and respond, right? More than ever, we all know that it's not a matter of if you're going to get hacked, it's a matter of when, right? Pretty much everyone has had a breach or an intrusion. and it is the world we live in, right? So we want to improve that. And we improve that by attacking ourselves, detecting, and responding. So this concept of attack, detect, and respond is something I really believe in. I want to share with all of you, as well as hopefully get you all to do some of this, because it does bring a lot of value. So when we talk about attack, we have to understand how an attack works. We do that with threat intelligence, right? And cyber threat intelligence is very important. We want to know how attackers are getting into these organizations. Every time there's a new breach, we learn about it. Maybe there's something new, maybe there isn't. And then we want to emulate that. We want to use that same attack in our organization so that we can see if we can detect and respond to it. And SCYTHE, of course, is the attack platform. If you haven't heard of SCYTHE, I'll talk about that shortly. And as you do this, you need to manage that engagement, and you need to report on what worked and what didn't. And that's where PlexTrac comes in. We're going to show you some pretty cool integrations that are being released today. So Shawn's going to cover that. And then, of course, you don't just want to know that the attack worked or didn't work. I mean, that's good that you know if an attack works or not, but you also want to improve, right? All of offensive security has always been about improving, about providing business value. So that's where the detection and response comes in. So this is what we're focused on today. We're going to do a lot of live demos because, you know, that's how we roll. In particular, we're going to do Conti. Conti is one of the most known, probably the most known ransomware group today, the most active. So we'll cover that and do lots of demos. But before that, do want to mention a little bit about SCYTHE. We are an attack platform. It's an enterprise-grade adversary emulation platform. You run this, it's self-hosted, so you can run that in your premise or on your cloud environment, and you create campaigns. Those campaigns are essentially building what we call custom controlled synthetic malware. So we're not taking known malware out there and modifying it. No, we're creating it from scratch to then emulate the adversary behaviors that we have seen. You can create those, you can do those manually, or of course you can automate them. And the reason you want to automate them is to consistently and reliably execute that same attack multiple times. The first time you run it, you're probably going to be very successful. You might realize that your detection is just not there, or maybe something got logged, but there was no alert, or maybe your people didn't see the alert and follow their process. The next time you do it, you want to improve on that. And that's exactly what SCYTHE allows you to do. There's a number of features and capabilities. It's enterprise command and control. So you can use HTTPS, DNS, SMB, Twitter, and even steganography, which hides the messages inside of images. Some pretty cool stuff. Then you can automate. We build cross-platform malware in Windows, Linux, and Mac. And we also share with the community the largest public library of adversary emulation plans. I'm going to show you that. I'm actually going to show you how I took CTI from Conti and the DFIR report, built an emulation plan, shared it, and then I'm going to live demo a lot of integrations here with our friends over at PlexTrac. Shawn, can you tell us a little bit about PlexTrac?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, George. So PlexTrac was born out of the pains that people like our founder, Dan, and myself, and George, you felt, everybody in the community, because even though I bragged a little bit ago about being a world expert in reporting, let's be honest, reporting is a bit of a posterior trauma for most of us. It's time that we're not getting paid for, and it's time that we'd rather be spending doing other things. So PlexTrac, it provides a platform that is going to make your life so much easier during the engagement. We're streamlining the data collection. Instead of dumping all of your screenshots or code samples into various things, then trying to kludge all that together into Word, giving you a single stop where you can dump that stuff, put it right into the fields it needs to go to, crank out your reports quickly, be able to ensure you're delivering high quality reports by drawing upon standardized, validated write-ups database that you're curating with your best work, right? But then after that, the work's not done. We got to fix these things. You know, it's our job isn't just to talk about things being bad. We got to track those to remediation. And PlexTrac's the platform that does that. And that's where we start really feeling that that purple theme that is at the core of our values, is the purple teaming platform. And then at the end of the day, am I getting better over time? Am I doing the right things to make my program better? And that's where our analytics come in and really helps you show and demonstrate value of what you're doing to the overall security posture of the organization. And quite frankly, maybe helps you fight for more budget to get to what you need next year to do even better, right? Today, we're going to focus on the Runbooks module. And a Runbooks module is really, truly designed to facilitate purple team engagements. It was designed from the ground up. We start off by being able to import threat emulation plans like the ones that the great folks at SCYTHE have put together and others. And we're going to talk about those, Georges, in just a moment. Execute those purple team engagements. Give you a great place for both the red and the blue team to hop in, collect their data, collaborate in real time, maintain visibility. And I know George is going to talk about the importance of visibility in purple teaming as we go forward. And then finally, once again, giving you that easy ability to just run the same tests over and over again. Once you take the steps to make your world better, you need to prove it. You need to prove it by running the same tests again, using a platform like SCYTHE to ensure that you're getting consistency in your testing methodology. Thanks, George.
Awesome. So we're talking about purple, right? Introduction, if you've never heard about purple teaming, it is mostly a virtual team, although we're now starting to see some dedicated purple teams coming up in some of the more mature organizations. But generally, if it's the first time you've done a purple team, it's going to be a virtual team where your cyber threat intelligence team, the team that understands threat actors, understands which ones are likely to attack your organization, are going to gather threat intelligence and provide the adversary behaviors. Then your red team takes that from the CTI and builds an emulation plan to then execute it in your environment. And then, of course, the blue team are the defenders, the ones in charge of detecting and responding to those attacks. So we built this purple team exercise framework about a year ago. We published it based on our work and what we've seen, also contributions from others. We're actually working on version 2 right now. So if you have any feedback, because you are a purple teamer, you've been doing that, let us know. Now is the time to get that feedback in. We are going to release version 2 of this based on what we've learned in the past year. But essentially, cyber threat intelligence, preparation, exercise, execution, and lessons learned. And we always learn something new. So how does a purple team exercise work? The cyber threat intelligence team identifies a threat actor that has the capability, intent, and opportunity to attack your organization. Then you have a tabletop discussion with the whole team, talking about the attacker tactics, techniques, and procedures, right? These are behaviors. And what are the expected defenses? So this is a very interesting time. It's generally a quick tabletop where you kind of get a feel for what the defenders think would happen. And then the red team goes and emulates this while sharing their screen, because we do want to share that information. Let the blue teamers and the cyber threat intelligence team see how their work is being used and leveraged, and also how an attack actually works step by step. Then the blue team looks for indicators of those behaviors. There might be something logged, there might be an alert, or maybe there was nothing logged, right? Or maybe it was blocked, who knows? The blue team shares their screen, right? This is the time where CTI and red team learns how the blue team works. If something wasn't detected, then you have to do what's called detection engineering. First, to create and tune your technology to see that, log that, then alert it. And then once you have those alerts, you need to train your people and make sure that the blue team knows what to do when they see that alert and what process to follow. And you do this over and over, like training for any sport, right? So, like I said, the purple team exercise framework is there. We're not going to go too much into this, but if you've used this or if you've never done a purple team exercise, download it. It's about 20 pages. It walks you through how to plan an exercise, how to run an exercise, and then give us feedback because, like I mentioned, we are updating our framework. So let's go through this for Conti. Right? And this slide was taken from a presentation by Katie Nichols and Cody Thomas when they were at MITRE. They were part of the attack team, and they released this. I believe the original release was at a SANS summit. And they said from the cyber threat intelligence space, you need to understand the target organization, understand what adversaries have the capability, intent, and opportunity to attack, then gather the threat intelligence, extract the TTPs, right? The tactics, techniques, and procedures, those behaviors, because there's different types of cyber threat intel. Then analyze and organize it, create a plan, and emulate that. So this is exactly what we're going to do here today. And we actually do it on Threat Thursdays. So you haven't heard of Threat Thursdays, definitely follow the hashtag Threat Thursday, because we do this work. We like understanding how adversaries work. We see and consume cyber threat intelligence. If it's not mapped to MITRE ATT&CK, we map it, and we map it at the procedure level, right? MITRE ATT&CK is great, adversary tactic, techniques, and common knowledge, but it maps mostly at the technique level. When you're going to emulate an adversary, you need the procedures, right? The actual behaviors. So we present those adversary emulation plans. We share them, which you will then be able to import into PlexTrac, into and into SCYTHE, so that you can then emulate the adversary. Of course, we cover how to defend, right? Detection and response is important. So what threat actor are we doing today? Well, according to this image from Dark Tracer on Twitter, shout out to them, the current king of ransomware is Conti. They have hit, in this image, 339 organizations, but we actually got an FBI alert about a week ago that it's over 400 systems now, 400 different organizations, including hospitals, first responders, things like that. So that's not cool, right? No one likes ransomware, especially when you're starting to impact hospitals and first responders. So let's understand how Conti works and leverage that to then emulate it in our environment and see if we can detect and respond to it. There are a couple of types of threat intel. So shout out to David Bianco here, who has the pyramid of pain. Now, threat intel could have some hash values like this bad piece of malware, right? Probably easy to detect in your organization, or this bad domain or this bad IP address, right? Block at the firewall or at the proxy. But once we start getting towards the top of the pyramid of pain, we look at adversary behaviors, the TTPs. That is what we want to focus on. And as an industry, cyber threat intel is getting a lot better. They're mapping to cyber threat, and they're mapping to MITRE ATT&CK, and they're also giving us some procedures. So for Conti, want to give a shout out to the DFIR report. The DFIR report is a free resource that we here at SCYTHE sponsor, and you should sponsor them too if you can, because they provide not only the technique mapping, which you see on this slide, but they actually show procedures, which is what I'm going to show you here in a bit. But pretty much in one slide, what does Conti do? They do double extortion, which means they get on your system, they steal data, and then they ransom it as well. So not only encrypting and asking for money, but also stealing it and posting it online if you do not pay. They execute through a variety of ways: PowerShell, Windows command line. They do defense evasion with run DLL32. They modify registry keys. They do discovery, persistence, lateral movement, right? These folks are doing a lot of things. So we want to emulate that. And that is what we are going to do. As a red team, we take that CTI, we build this plan, and then we do the purple team exercise where we present the adversary, show the TTPs, tabletop it, red team executes it, then the blue team finds those detections, shows them on the screen. If they didn't have detection, then you do detection engineering, and then you repeat this. And when you repeat this, you really want to show that value, which means we have to document everything as we go. So enough of me talking. Let's do some live demos. What we're going to do is we're going to consume CTI. We're going to build an adversary emulation plan for Conti. We're going to share that on GitHub. We're then going to import that plan into PlexTrac so we can see what's going to happen. Great place to tabletop it. We're going to execute the adversary emulation plan. We're going to export the result of it into CSV to then import it into PlexTrac. add the blue team outcomes for both runs of that exercise and show the value through runbook analytics. So you ready for this, Shawn? Am I missing anything?
Bring it on.
All right, cool. So first things first, shout out to the D4 report. Amazing resource, the d4report.com. They release a whole bunch of good cyber threat intelligence that we find very useful. So you can see here in May, they released the Conti ransomware. Of course, we can read through all this. Definitely recommend you do. But as we go down here, one of my favorite parts of this is that they are providing procedures, right? This is what we need from cyber threat intelligence to create an adversary emulation plan. Because it's good if you map to attack, that's a start. But we want to know the exact commands that are being executed. So you can see here examples on these screenshots, and you actually have some items you can copy and paste. But be careful copy and pasting. There are sometimes little typos, right? So definitely take a look at that. Test this out first. But overall, this is excellent cyber threat intelligence. So what do? We consume this cyber threat intelligence. We map it out in SCYTHE, and we provide that adversary emulation plan both in the table that I just showed you, which is great for you to present, for you to read through. MITRE attack mapping gets us all talking the same language, but we then actually share this plan. Where do we share this plan? We share the plan on our community threats GitHub. So we have a number of adversary emulation plans here. In this case, we're going to pull up Conti. Of course, always giving credit where credit is due. So again, shout out to the D4 report. We then have this JSON file that you can import into SCYTHE, and it tells you exactly how to run it. So let's go ahead and do that. Jump into SCYTHE here. We go to new, well, you first import that JSON, which I already did. So you choose the file, choose that JSON file, hit import, and then come and create a new campaign. So we're going to call this Conti Live Demo. We then have to read a little bit here. Let's see. It says we need to set the heartbeat to 62 seconds and the jitter to 39%. So we can actually just copy and paste that right there. What does this mean? If you've never done command and control before, it's going to use HTTPS to communicate. An endpoint that gets infected with this synthetic malware. It's going to call out to our SCYTHE server here at unicorns.scythedemo.com over port 443. And it's going to call back every 62 seconds. But it's also going to have a percentage deviation of that 62 seconds of 39%. Where did we get that? In our cyber threat intelligence, right? Again, thank you, D4 report. The other item is that the program database path that was observed in this particular intrusion was exactly this. So you can actually go into SCYTHE and set the PDB exactly to what was seen in the wild. So you are pretty much creating your own malware that looks and is going to have the same behaviors as Conti. We go over here to our next page. The next page is where we build the automation. Now, this is like Lego blocks. You have a manual that says this is what Conti did, which we can import, or you can not follow the manual and create whatever you want. In this case, we're going to follow the manual. We're going to go to existing threats. We're going to select Conti, and we're going to add these steps. Now, I've already done this work, right? I've reviewed exact procedures. And just to give you an example, right? One of the first things that it does is discovery. So we load the run module and we run the exact same commands that we saw over here, right? Let's go back up to discovery, ipconfig all, followed by system info, followed by who am I? That is exactly what we're doing here. ipconfig all, sysinfo, who am I groups, right? Exactly what it did. Then down here in step 8, Conti normally runs on machines that are joined to a domain. And it then executes some discovery for domains. But what if we land on a system that's not on a domain? Does it make sense for you to run commands to discover a domain when you're not on a domain? No, right? So what do? We first echo the user domain to see if we're on a domain. If we are not on a domain, Scythe has an automation language where it can take the output of one command and make a decision. So if on step 8, we realize we're not on a domain, we shouldn't execute all of this, right? We should just jump over to step 15. But if we are on a domain, then we should run NL test domain. We should run NL test / domain trust, all trust, net view, all domains, etc. Then persistence, again, taking it right from the DFIR report. What did they do for persistence? Well, they added a local user, added that local user to the local admin group. They modified a registry key to enable RDP, remote desktop protocol for lateral movement, and they created a service. Now, all of those require you to have local admin privilege on the system. So once again, we're going to use this automation language to determine what privilege we have, right? Because we don't know where we're going to land. We might land on a system where we are admin. We might not. So let's check first. So we run controller integrity, see if we're high integrity. If we're not high integrity, there's no sense in trying to add a user because you're not going to have the privilege to do so. So we'll skip to step 22. If we are an admin, then again, we go through step by step, creating the user, the exact user that was observed, NU user with the exact password. Interesting password choice, by the way. Add that user to the local admin group, modify the registry key. This registry key enables remote desktop protocol on the system. And we create a service called Conti. We then go and do impact, right? Does ransomware, does double extortion. So what do? The way we do this in Scythe, and you have full control, you can modify this if you're the red teamer and want to do this to an entire system, up to you. But most of the time, people are running this in production. So we don't want to steal their real files and encrypt their real files, right? We want to emulate the behaviors in a safe method that will bring value, but also not bring down your systems, right? So what do? We create a new folder on step 27. We then create new files. So in this case, I created 100 1 megabyte Word document files. We then do the same thing that Conti did, which is zip up, it's called staging, the files that we're going to exfiltrate. Then in step 30, we're going to exfiltrate that zip file through the same command and control method. Then we are going to encrypt those files with a password. I picked a pseudo random password here and erase the original. Then we're going to download the ransom note. We're going to open up the ransom note so the user is aware of it. So we'll open Notepad to that README file. And then the other thing that we like to do, again, totally up to you, is leave the system how you found it, right? Because every time you execute this, you want it to run consistently. So how do we clean up? We remove those files that we created. We delete that exfil file. We delete the ransom note. If we were admin, we remove the registry key that we modified. We remove the local admin user, delete the user, delete that service. And one of the last things I like to do is run Mimikatz. Mimikatz does have a high detection and prevention on many systems. So I do this last because if it does get caught at this point, I'm good, all right? My objective has already been met. So if we're happy with our plan here, we go on to the next step. And you see that it's taking a couple seconds from the time I hit start campaign. That is because this Scythe platform just generated this brand new payload. You can then download this payload onto your own machine, In this case, Conti uses DLLs. So we would download this DLL and execute it on our system. Or we can grab direct download links. I can send this over to you, Shawn. You want to click on this and run it on your system?
No, thank you, George.
You're good? All right. Now, where is the part that you see everything, right? Again, for every campaign, you are fully in control. You can show your blue team as you plan this, right? This is what's going to happen. Or you can use PlexTrac, right? And this is PlexTrac and the runbooks, where we can import this JSON file and have a plan. As I go through those steps, you want to talk a little bit about this, Shawn?
Yeah, so, George, as I was watching you demonstrate and walk through that threat emulation plan, the thing that jumped out at me first and foremost is there's 45 steps there. They're all command line. There is a lot of work there. And this is absolutely something that you are going to want to automate through a platform like Scythe. But not everybody has that yet in their environment. A lot of times people are just really looking to gain knowledge, understanding, awareness of how a particular threat actor behaves. And so what I really love is if you go to that Threat Thursday GitHub site, the number of different adversary emulation plans they have, both for APTs and for malware, is legion. And I've pulled down quite a few of those. And the reason why I pulled them down is I'm honestly not doing a whole lot of testing in my role here at PlexTrac. I am just curious. I want to know how these things operate. And what is really awesome is that today you can go into any one of these folders that George is showing now, pull down the threat emulation plan JSON, and then simply import that directly into into PlexTrac. So you can see, he's just pulling down the JSON, nothing complex there. And then once you're in PlexTrac, you just bang on that green import button in the top right, and you load up the JSON. And we've actually already done that for DarkSide, as you can see there. But I think George is going to demonstrate how to bring this in. So what is this going to do for you? Well, first and foremost, is it's going to give you the ability to, much like George just showed you walking through this threat emulation plan in Scythe, you're going to be able to see each of these individual procedures. If you want to maybe begin an engagement off of that, George, with that purple button, we can, don't necessarily need to edit this, but you can go through and review all the procedures that are available for you. You can see what tactics and techniques that they are married to. So this is a great way for you to get that level of situational awareness on the individual procedures that those threat actors and various malware families are in fact using. Now, I think that everyone listening to this should go out and buy Scythe now. But if you don't have Scythe today, I really do tip my hat to what they've done, because they have given these threat emulation plans to the community in a way that you can just come in and you can execute these procedures yourself. You've got the level of detail you need. You've got the command lines. You've got the payloads that you need to get. So maybe, George, if you just click on any one of those procedures in the over on the edit side and just show people the type of interface that they have. So, real simple execution step. And this is, once again, why you want to automate this. But you see exactly what it is that you need to do, the same thing that this particular malware is executed in your environment. There's a couple tabs here. You've got the red team and the blue team side. And right now, George is on the red team side. Gives them that opportunity to make a determination on the outcome of the attack, as well as collect your evidence directly in the platform, identify what assets you've targeted. We're not going to necessarily step through all the mechanics of that now, but just know that you can, and it's all here in one place. But also the blue team, and this is really where the runbooks module shines in purple teaming, because they've got visibility on what the red team's doing. They see the execution steps. The concept of purple teaming is full visibility, right? Full Monty, trench coat open, let the whole world see the bad things we're doing, and then be able to make a determination of the detection outcome. Did we block this? Did we get an alert? Maybe we didn't, but hey, if I look to my left, I see exactly what was done. I can go and see if I've got the forensic evidence. And if I've got the forensic evidence, I've got things I can do something with, right? I can start tweaking my rules. I can tune things and at least get myself to that level of detection and alerting the next time we run the exact same plan, which is the key to this: standardization in your testing methodology. Okay. At the end of the day, all of this data gets wrapped up into a nice report. If you're familiar with PlexTrac, you know how that works. So that is one great capability we have. And once again, hats off, not just to Scythe, but to the other community members who are kicking out those threat emulation plans, because it brings a lot of value to a lot of people to be able to consume that in a way that it makes sense and allows them to at least try some of those things in their environment. But George, I know you've done a little bit of work with Conti on some actual executions.
Exactly. So because Conti, this, with a 62-second heartbeat, will take a little longer than our demo. I actually already ran Conti a couple of times, and I have full logs of everything that occurred every time that I ran this. And what most of our customers realize when they run these for the first time is they didn't have that many detections. So let's say we ran this, we then head over to reports, we go over to Conti, and we see these 2 runs that did exactly 39 TTPs. The amount of traffic, and this rarely happens, was exactly the same as well. So these were 2 runs. My first run was a baseline, and then my second run was after I did the tuning. So I've already gone through here, and you can export this CSV. You can then in PlexTrac import the CSV. So instead of only seeing, and I think I have, no, I don't. We'll do a live import because why not? So we'll create a campaign, Conti live demo. We'll pick my client, which is webinar. We'll begin the assessment and then import. So not only did we import the plan, we can now actually import the results. So when I hit submit here, this is a campaign that already ran. You saw those 39 TTPs that were executed. They're going to be brought into here just as soon as it finishes parsing. It's a relatively large file because it did a lot of things, right? And here we have all those TTPs. So using that same example, we now go over to the red team side and look at that. It has imported everything that occurred from the red team side, right? Because it's the attack platform. Tells you the endpoint it ran on, the process ID, the request, the exact time that this ran. All imported, right? Automation for the win. We can then look at the blue team side and see the outcome of it, determine, again, forensically logged, no evidence, detected, etc. Now, I've already done all of this. Go ahead.
Yeah, George, and feel free to disagree with me here, but in my experience, one of the biggest hurdles for organizations to get going on purple team operations is just the administrative headaches. You've got to grab people from the blue team. You've got to grab people from the red team. You've got multiple stakeholders, multiple people that have to buy in order to make something happen. What the process that you're demonstrating right here now does is it really, really dramatically reduces that pain. Because with a single person who is executing the red team portion through an automated platform like Scythe, now all I've got to do is bring those results in, and in a, as we would say in the Air Force, in a 1G environment, right, in a low stress environment, I've got the opportunity for my blue team to see the results of that, document their detections, very rapidly run that whole campaign again, and be able to demonstrate, in the course of a single day, even actual value in their ability to defend against a real live threat actor.
Yep. And actually on Tuesday of this week, we ran a purple team engagement for one of our clients. We also offer professional services where we use this. We actually did 4 runs. So on 2 endpoints and on 2 servers, and got through all of this. And the beauty, like you said, is the ability to automate the report creation of these, right? It is fantastic, right? Because we can pull up the report, we have the findings. The findings in this case are what wasn't detected and should have been. We can put report narratives in there, readout views, artifacts, etc. But something really cool that I loved of the new features that you all brought into this are the analytics. So if we take a look here at Conti, you all have some wonderful analytics. And the one that is definitely my favorite is this blue team outcome. because I have my first run over here. My first run of Conti, only 9 TTPs were logged and 14 had no evidence whatsoever. So I did detection engineering. I enabled things like Sysmon, sending to my log aggregator, creating alerts, etc. And on my second run, I can now demonstrate that through this purple team exercise, I now blocked 1 TTP, which I realized I could actually do without breaking anything. And I also created alerts. Now 14 TTPs have alerts, 9 are logged, and 1 unfortunately still doesn't have any evidence. And in particular, that one is one that uses the Windows API, which is very difficult to detect, right? So we're never going to get to 100%, but this shows significant improvement in just 2 runs, right? All in a day's work. And I really love this feature here that you all added, because it shows the value that Purple Team brought. It shows where you were, which is great, right? You know where you stand, but now it shows how the Purple Team exercise and the collaboration between CTI, red teams, and blue teams resulted in a much better security posture. So I think with that, we are at our key takeaways, which is adversary emulation is going to level up your purple teaming, and iterate, right? Test, tune, retest, and always show value. So as you can see, in 45 minutes or less on this fine Friday afternoon, you can bring immediate value to your organization by doing these purple team engagements, by leveraging some of the work that we give out to the community, and by doing some tests and collaborating together. Any final words there, Shawn?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to spend some time talking about a subject I love. You know, if you want to see this up close and personal, absolutely reach out to us, sales@plextrac.com. We'll get you hooked up with a demo and be happy to show you how to integrate some of these things that the fine folks at SCYTHE and their partners are putting together, and maybe even make you like that stuff so much that your next call's over to George and his team.
Exactly. And actually, that's something that we've announced, that you can actually purchase SCYTHE and PlexTrac at the same time to bring all that value all at once. Awesome. Of course, you can purchase them separately if you would like. Totally up to you. We are here to bring you value as well. Whatever your challenges are, reach out to us, whether it's SCYTHE or PlexTrac or both. We are here to hear you out, see where you are, and help you continually evolve, because that is what we do here in security. Something new happens, we learn about it, we evolve, we show value, we test, tune, and retest over and over again. Some last things, swag store, check it out if you want some swag. If you want some free swag, there is a feedback form, very short, because we do appreciate your time. We also do lessons learned and want to hear your feedback. What'd you think of this? Is this something that you're doing? Or have you done a purple team exercise already? Are you looking into this kind of stuff? Or maybe you're just curious. We're trying to catch something. Want to be slightly entertained by our shenanigans here. But please give us some feedback. We really appreciate it. Check out the swag store. Connect with us on Twitter. We're both on Twitter personally, and also through SCYTHE and PlexTrac Twitter accounts, LinkedIn. Let's talk about this. Let's communicate. Let's collaborate. Let's work together, and let's improve. So with that, have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're seeing this recorded, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it, and have a good one.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.